What great banter.
Hello and welcome to this Wednesday's edition of Movie News here at MB. It is always great banter, John. You're absolutely right. But we're talking about a brain fart that you had actually last night.
Gene Wilder.
Gene Wilder.
Can you tell I forgot his name? One of my comedic heroes.
Timothy Chalamet
Yes.
playing the young Willy Wonka, John.
The iconic performance from, what was his name again? Gene Wilder, that's right, I read it in the article. Gene Wilder, that's the performance.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, John,
Fucking
we're talking
hell.
about Emily Blunt, and that is not rhyming slang. It's Emily Blunt says A Quiet Place trilogy is planned. Now, this is our thumbnail, this is our headline, and we've talked about A Quiet
Anybody
Place.
in here from Kent?
Part 2 over the last few weeks, because it's obviously getting its. Is it a re-release? Is that what you would call it? Is
it re-released? A Quiet Place?
It was out for a short time last March, I think, John.
And
And
then
then
it was supposed to.
it's getting a full sort of
Yeah.
thing. I'm just waving my hands about here like a madman. But
I'll bring you up, Steve, to just
Yeah.
check. Oh, intro again.
There we go. Nice
Just
little graphic there, John.
Get it over.
Yeah, get
Right,
it in
MB.
people's
Nope, it's in
heads.
the shop.
MBE, watch it, subscribe. But John, this is coming in from Screen Rant. A Quiet Place star Emily Blunt reveals the director John Krasinski tentatively hopes to make the first 2 films of the franchise into a trilogy. It's a given, isn't it, John, when you think about it, especially the sort of buzz this franchise is getting so far. But while speaking to Collider, Blunt shared details about A Quiet Place Part 2 and her love for the franchise. She also described Krasinski's future plans to turn the film into a trilogy. And she said this, very short and sweet, as always from Emily. She said, "He has a whole arc of ideas that could work. I think he just wanted to see how people responded to this one before he fully engaged his brain on the third one. But he has a couple of great ideas."
Yeah.
The man's full of ideas, John.
Yes. Look, Stephen, it just makes sense, as you did say, for them to go down the trilogy route with this, because I don't know, man. Hollywood never seems to do duologies. They never seem comfortable in making 1 or 2 movies. They always feel like a trilogy is necessary. I'm going to bring myself up. I don't know if it's worked. It has. Every time I do the macro, it minimises OBS. Fantastic. Stephen, look, I think it's required these days that you get a good trilogy. If you can create 3 great movies and you're the director, you've got a career made for life. And look, Krasinski, we've seen with the first movie, he's a fantastic director.
Yeah.
He dabbled in some very unique horror tropes. He doesn't like to call it horror. Apparently it's a fantasy sci-fi movie. I think it's a fantasy sci-fi post-apocalyptic dystopian horror movie. There's a fucking mouthful for you.
Yeah.
And I'm
Great
really
banter.
excited. Yeah, it's great banter. I'll bring it back to us, Stephen. It's happened again. It's minimised again. Oh my fucking god, this OBS. Pulling what little hair I've got out of my head out of it because of this OBS. Because it's just doing my boxing. I had to restart the entire PC.
OBS.
OBS. Yes. Oh, it depends how big your pockets are. Wow. Speaking about good trilogies, George Lucas, Stephen, look.
That one was.
Oh no, the previous one was. It was
Yeah.
a perfect trilogy, some would say. I would. Stephen, I'm really looking forward to the second one. You add Cillian Murphy into it, you've got a match made in heaven. Cillian and Emily Blunt in there.
Yep.
He's just a great actor. He's a chameleon. He can fit all sorts of genres, all sorts of characters. I'm really excited to see this grizzled version of Cillian Murphy. He's already dabbled in post-apocalyptic sort of zombie movies 28 days later.
Yep.
He's talking about a sequel potentially happening in that 28 years later, I think, or something like that. And Stephen, when you add him in, you've got me hooked. The concept was great in the first movie. They're going to continue it in this movie with the added darkness of humans being in there, dark, dangerous humans, pockets of survivors. So the story's there for me. The evolution of the Abbotts, of Emily Blunt's character, of this little daughter. You can jump 10 years in the future. It's still dark, it's still post-apocalyptic. The humans perhaps getting the upper hand on these alien creatures, and it's actually focusing on the kid. So there's a huge bunch of potential for these movies. There's potential spin-offs, TV shows. So I don't blame them, John, trying to get down the trilogy.
You went to see the first movie in the cinema.
Yeah.
You told me it was an excellent experience, a unique experience, seeing this type of film in the cinema.
Very quiet.
Back then, I don't know if it was it 2018 it came out. I can't remember.
16, I think.
Was it as early as that?
No,
right.
I think maybe later. 18, I think you're right.
Did you see after coming out that theatre for the very first time, after watching this film for the very first time, the original film that is, did you foresee them even talking about a trilogy?
Well, Stephen, I says at the
potential of
time,
that.
I says that I actually spoke about it. I think it was the early reactions. I says at the time, he artfully created this first movie in the way that you can keep it self-contained, one standalone movie, and it works. Because you've seen them getting the upper hand. They've been terrified of these alien creatures making a sound to lose their son. Then at the end, she's armed, primed to take them down with this shotgun. So you could end it on a cliffhanger, like Shawshank. What happened to Red and what happened to Andy on that beach? Did they kill each other within a couple of days, or did they live happily ever after in San Montaneo? Was it? I think it was.
Yeah.
On that beautiful Pacific coast. You could fill the blanks in, leave it one and done. But then he set it up on a cliffhanger with this family hiding in this basement with the shotgun, waiting on these aliens coming towards him. You can then continue on what happened with that story in the second movie, build on it for a trilogy. So it was open, Stephen, it was left open. You could leave it one and done. You could build a trilogy, duology, spin-off movies out of it, spin-off TV shows. And I'm glad to see he's doing at least a duology, potentially a trilogy, because this is a concept that deserves to be fleshed out. I loved it, man. It was one of the better horror-esque movies of the last 20 years for me. Fantastic.
Yeah, I would go with that as well, John. We obviously got the sort of light version of that, the Netflix's Bird Box, which obviously
was a hit.
It was a good film, John. I did really enjoy it, but you can tell it was inspired by the sort of same scenario.
That came out the same year, a couple of months later, didn't it?
Yeah.
So they may even have been making them synchronously, Stephen. It may have concurrently. So,
but
don't
what's
know
next for
who
John
copied
Krasinski, John, after this franchise is gone? I mean, the guy's
Fantastic Four, hopefully.
Yeah, well, I hope so, John. But as a director as well, I can't wait to see what his next project is going to be.
Well, Stephen, the best directors start in horror. All of the best directors have started in horror, and then they build upon that and flesh out different genres.
Yeah.
You think of the likes of Jordan Peele, Nia DaCosta starting in horror. There's high promise for her. John Krasinski. I try to think back to other concepts. Spielberg, did he
Scott
start?
Derrickson.
Technically, Jaws is like a horror movie, isn't it? Scott Derrickson. There's lots of great directors who have been buffed in the world of directing and horror, and they've built amazing careers out of it. So I've got high hopes for Krasinski. That was a great first movie, man. The second one I'm hoping is good. I think it's rated fresh officially on Rotten Tomatoes, so the critics like it. I can't wait to go and see it in the theatres. I think, is it coming out next month?
I think
this month.
I think it's this month.
Conjuring's out today.
Yeah.
I'm going to see that at the weekend, Stephen. Yeah. If you're up for it, I'll buy you a ticket. You can come.
John, I'll be lost. As you know, I've seen the other ones.
Well, I need to go and see it. Cannot wait to see the Wardens back again.
Follows us will know I'm not the biggest horror fan, but
I love it.
I mean, I might go back and watch the other two, and then maybe I will.
I highly recommend them, Stephen. The second one, at least.
Well, I like the cast as well. Fantastic, stellar cast. So
Vera,
and this one's supposed to be so different to the first two. So
Shackles of the Haunted House is gone open, based on a living
based on
antagonist,
true events. Yeah.
Yes.
But we'll move on, John, to our next topic. It's all about Doctor Strange. Writer explains why original director left sequel. It's about Scott Derrickson, who we were just talking about there. Doctor Strange writer C. Robert Cargill explains why director Scott Derrickson left Doctor Strange 2 after having creative issues with Marvel. Now, this is coming in from Screen Rant, John. I'll just read a little bit of it and a bit of the quote from, I think it's C. Robert Cargill as well. Throughout the long development of Doctor Strange 2, C. Robert Cargill was expected to be involved and flesh out the sequel story details that were teased before. Cargill and Derrickson never got the chance to write an official draft for Doctor Strange 2, but he still knows why Derrickson left. Cargill worked with Derrickson at the time to develop a new horror movie, The Black Phone, which I can't wait to see, which will be Derrickson's next directorial effort. During an interview with Cinema Blend, Cargill explained that Derrickson and Marvel wanted to make two different movies, coupled with Derrickson's interest in directing The Black Phone without compromising on his vision, led to the split. And this is what Cargill had to say. It was a creative differences. Scott Derrickson wanted to do one movie and Marvel wanted to do another, so he sat there and said, well shit, I've got this great script that I wrote with Cargill I'm really proud of. It came down to Scott, and Scott's like, well, I can make this movie that I'm compromising what I want to do on, or I could make The Black Phone. And he goes, you know, I want to make a movie with Cargill. I'm going to go back. I'm going to go and make The Black Phone. It was, as he said publicly, it was a hard choice to leave Strange behind, but it made it easier that he had a movie that he was looking forward to doing. John, you can understand that. You know, it's at the end of the day, I'm going to sit on the fence on this one. Marvel have got a vision, they've got a tone they have to maintain, especially with their world building. It has to fit. On the other hand, you've got a creative genius
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going too far there, but I think he is. Scott Derrickson, in terms of his vision, that first Doctor Strange film is probably still my favourite MCU film, standalone film that's not connected to anything else.
Avengers.
Well, it's always going to be connected if it's in that universe, but you know what I mean. It's not got a story before, it's not got a story after it until the second one comes out. But this Black Phone, John, we talked about this headlined one of our shows a couple of months ago, and the concept of this film sounds amazing.
Yeah,
and this is what this guy,
isn't it?
yeah, this is what this guy does the best, the horror genre, and it's got a bit of a twist in it as well, which I like. It's kind of strange, sort of Twilight Zone thing going on.
Yeah, it's a little. Is it not someone locked in a basement or something, and someone from beyond the grave is phoning him on the actual phone?
Yeah.
I think he's locked in. He's been kidnapped or something, and there's this other maybe the victims of this killer.
I think that's
who are phoning through and try to help him. It's a great concept, Stephen. It's dark, and as you did say, this guy's steeped in horror. I think he is a creative genius when it comes to horror genre. Steve, I'm looking forward to the Bermuda Triangle movie that he's making. I think Chris Evans is linked with that, potentially starring in that with him. That'd be a good hook-up again, sort of Avengers buddies. Stephen, look, I'm pointing to you by mistake, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm trying to utilise these wide shots more. We've got two great cameras and we just sit in the split screen because I'm so fucking lazy that I don't want to even press the side button on my mouse. It's that simple. That's for me, that's for Stephen. I don't use it, I'm that lazy. So let's use them more. Let's make the show a better production, shall we? What do I make about this story, Stephen? I think there's a bit of fanciful retconning in the separation of Marvel and Scott Derrickson here. He says there's creative differences and he just insinuates that's a small little part of it. The bigger part is this Black Phone and him wanting to go off and do this. I think if Scott Derrickson had a choice between postponing the Dark Phone or the Black Phone with Blumhouse a year and working on another Doctor Strange movie and making it an absolute horror fest, huge big movie, potential to rewrite the history of the Avengers, of the actual Marvel Cinematic Universe. I think this and No Way Home are the two biggest movies in the next year or so for the MCU.
Yeah.
The multiverse, it could bring characters in, different versions of characters. I think he'd have preferred to have done that movie and then moved on to the Black Phone. I think the creative difference thing is a bigger part of it than what this guy's suggesting. I think that he wanted to go deep down into the horror vibe for that movie.
Yeah.
Kevin Feige didn't want it. He and Disney want to open up the demographics that can go in and watch this movie to as much as possible. Octogenarians, little 5-year-old kids, they want them all in the theatre together. If you make it a horror movie and it tips into R-rated instead of PG-13, you're shutting down multi-generational viewers who can't go in and watch this movie. That's why he wanted horror elements, not an out-and-out horror. I think they split up on that reason. It was just creatively not conducive. The relationship couldn't continue, and Derrickson went off and made the Black Phone. He's making another horror movie, Bermuda Triangle movie, potentially next year or the year after. The split, I think it was a little bit more vicious than he's making out. But look, I don't know, I'm not close to it. Maybe he's right. Maybe it was just about the Black Phone. He was inspired to make that movie and he wanted to walk away from a Marvel movie just to make that. I don't know. But I'm sad, Steve. I'm sad Derrickson's away, but in equal measures, I'm actually happy because Sam Raimi's back making big comic book movies. And some of the best comic book movies in my young life were directed by that guy. The two Spider-Man movies, I don't say three, the first two with Tobey Maguire were fucking dynamite. And that was that guy that directed them. So glad to see this guy coming back. And Stephen, as I've said before, it's a change for the MCU. They actually go in and pluck a veteran director and bring him in. Before, it was all up and coming, zany indie movie directors like Taika Waititi, people like that. This is the first time they've took an established name and put it in. It's a change in strategy, so I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do. This guy's in charge of the biggest movie for me in the next year, so I'm looking forward to what Raimi does. Sad for Derrickson though, because I loved the first one as well, Stephen. I thought it was amazing.
It was
Doctor Strange, just the way he managed to capture that arrogance, that different character. We hadn't seen a character like Stephen Strange in the MCU before. That's full of himself, and the journey he goes on in one movie. He realises he was a tit and he had to change his life.
It does mirror Iron Man in a certain way, the sort of development of the character's origins to what he becomes at the end of the film. But in a different way, in the sense of, a spiritual journey. And I think that was one of the things that intrigued me the most. It was almost like The Matrix, the first movie, the origins of Neo and how he developed into this super being, you know, at the very end of the film, and that's what I saw.
Very close-minded, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And he chose to open his mind up and
Yeah.
became the all-powerful. Steve, I'm looking forward to
that's down to
Matrix 4 as well.
Directing as well. You know, it kept you intrigued, it kept you interested. But yeah, we're going to be talking about that just in a little while, John, actually, The Matrix 4. But before that, we're going to talk about J.J. Abrams. He says Portal
J.J. Abrams?
It's finally on the rails. I'm sure we talked about this years ago. I'm sure we did when we were doing the podcast days, John. Because we're big fans of the game Portal.
Yeah, it's a great game.
Portal 2 came out. Steve Merchant did the voice work on that, as I recall.
It was a great game
I
as
was
well.
obsessed with that game. I think it was on the orange box I had it.
Yeah.
And I was obsessed with it, John.
Yeah, that was Half-Life, wasn't it?
It was a great compilation of
Fortress.
little games, wasn't it? And
Team
Portal
Fortress,
was one of them.
Did you remember that? Team Fortress?
Yeah, Team Fortress, yeah, I remember.
Sort of caricature, fast-paced sort of shooter game. That was amazing, man. And then they created a Gary's mod, I think it was, and they introduced fucking Celtic Rangers battles and stuff like that, and it was great, man. A modded game.
Yeah, John.
Reflective of 1980s Glasgow after an old film game.
Yeah,
Hammers getting whipped out. The good days.
This is coming in from Collider.com, so grab your companion cube and don't eat the cake. Producer J.J. Abrams says that the movie adaptation of Portal is still happening with a script on development. This is huge news, given that the project of a Portal movie was announced 8 years ago. Was that long?
8 years?
Yeah,
wow.
Maybe we didn't talk about it, John, because we weren't doing this 8 years ago, and little has been said about the project so far, given the impression that adaptation would not really happen. Talking to IGN, Abrams said, "We at Bad Robot actually do have a script that's been written for the Portal movie now at Warner Brothers. We're really excited about the take and the pitch, so it feels like that thing's finally on the rails." The last thing we heard some news about the Portal movie was back in 2016 when Abrams promised concrete news fairly soon. He's good at doing that. It took longer than expected, but if a script is actually in development, that means the movie is moving along the development stage. I don't know if I want to... Abrams didn't reveal the name of the writers involved with the Portal script, and there's no director involved with the movie so far. This looks like bullshit to me. Even so, it looks like the adaptation will take some creative choices concerning the story. Well, John, that's concerning the story is the thing that's concerning me the most, because visually this will be a stunning looking film. I can believe that. It's JJ.
He decides to direct it, Stephen.
And the world that he's going to create for this, I would say, is based on the game, which was fantastic.
Think of the first Star Trek movie he done, Stephen. How clean the actual bridge of the Enterprise was. White.
That's right.
Sort of futuristic set.
Yeah.
And it was just his lens flare and stuff. It was fantastic. I loved it. This is perfect for him.
I enjoyed it.
Stephen, I'm going to go to the wide shot because I'm on you. I interrupted you. That's why.
You're
I like to do that a lot. I like to interrupt people and speak over them. I'm a fucking absolute... Well, we'll not say what I am. I was going to say a Glaswegian swear word there, but we'll refrain from swearing too much on the show. Try to be professional here. Trying. Stephen, I think this is perfect, man. The actual concept of the Portal story in the games, it was quite dark and dystopian. It starts off this world, you're like a baby born... You're fresh into this landscape, you don't quite know what's happening. It's fun, you're creating these little portals you're sitting through, but it gets darker and darker and darker as you go on. I don't know if I'm trying to mind the movie. I don't know if it was... There was obviously Mother or something, I think, from Netflix, where it was the little... The woman that grows up from a baby and this artificial intelligence guides her. But I think it may have been Lucas. Was it Lucas? The first one, TGX, was that?
THX,
THX, where it was underground. And then they had to break it. I don't know if it was that one, I don't know. But it's that similar concept where it's futuristic, dystopian world, clean as hell environments, and then there's a darkness underneath it all. There's an undercurrent of malevolence. That's what's going on in the Portal movie. So it's perfect for adaptation, and it would continue that renaissance for video game adaptations we've got with Sonic, Pokemon and stuff.
That kind of eeriness that the game brought to it. You know, that kind of strange environment that you don't know what's real and what's not. A bit like Shutter Island in a way, that sort of creepiness about that film.
Yeah.
Something like that, you know, and you're absolutely right. The more you get into that game, the more you went through those levels and mastered them, the more sinister it became. In fact, I think I got myself into a loop at one point. It was absolutely crazy. I couldn't get out of.
Stephen, see the way they could actually craft that world as well with the actual portals. It'd be a complete mindfuck, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
Visually, it's such an impressive concept with the game. I've not seen it done since.
Sort of dabbled in that in the end of Infinity War.
With the portals.
When they were on Titan.
Yeah.
And they were using Strange's portals to get in and out of to tackle
Thanos, yeah.
A bit like that, wasn't it?
It could work, Stephen. And with J.J. Abrams, if he actually directs it, we know he's got that stylistic flourish. And Stephen, he was talking recently, I actually covered it on a Movie News show, about how he wasn't wanting to direct any DC sort of superhero movies because he's not getting to direct the Black Superman, which is absolutely right. Just like Creed 2 should be a black director directing that. They're the only people who can grasp what it's like to be a black man or a black woman in this sort of generation, if you like. But he spoke at that time about not wanting to direct any of them. He had an idea for an independent movie. He wanted to get back to his roots and do something more independent. It may have been Portal he was talking about. It may have been that movie. He's working on that, bringing the script together. He says the script's very exciting, it's promising. Maybe he wants to direct this. This is very independent. But look, I've not even thought of a Portal actual movie and how that would work, but it would work well because it's got touches of THX, yeah. THX. Is it not a number? 1138.
Yeah.
It's got touches of that. It's got touches of that Mother movie, so it could work. The cleanness, the dystopian future, the malevolence. I like that word, malevolence.
Yeah.
All of that come together. It could make a really good script. Interesting
put a bit
script.
Of creepiness in there, and I'm in. John, I'll watch that.
Would it be first person though, Stephen, or would it be third person? Because obviously the games, you never see your identity.
No.
You're first person. They'd have to. I'm presuming that you can't have found footage or shaky cam stuff going on, can you?
No.
So it wouldn't work. It'd have to be third person.
Who
do you cast?
Yeah.
Is it what's she called? Mila Jovovich? Because it kind of puts me in mind of that. Fifth Element, yeah. Very white. Yeah. Jean-Baptiste Emmanuel Zorg effort. Just a perfect environment to make a movie in, isn't it?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I can't wait. Another film, John, I'm looking forward to seeing is Matrix 4. And this is coming in from Screen Rant. Matrix 4 had to spend $420,000 just to film in San Francisco. Reports say the upcoming Matrix blockbuster, which stars Keanu Reeves and Carrie-Anne Moss, spent $420,000 just to film in the Golden City. Now, there's a good shot there, John. There's a good photograph.
Want to bring it up, Stephen?
Carrie-Anne Moss and Keanu Reeves on the bike. I think we've seen part of that. I think this is the full shot we're seeing now with the production crew. I don't know if that's maybe just a bad Photoshop. I'm not really sure.
Just how good is this fucking guy aged? It's sickening.
Yeah.
It's sickening, man.
Carrie-Anne Moss is looking great as well.
She looks alright, but she doesn't look quite as good as Keanu. This guy is fucking immortal. But he doesn't look quite as immortal when he doesn't have the beard or the facial hair, which is strange.
Yeah,
you think the beard would age him, but it doesn't. It's the opposite for Keanu.
It's weird. Everyone else that gets a beard ages, he goes the other way. But John, according to SFK, Adobe Pictures paid the San Francisco Police Department a whopping $420,000 for their services. A long-awaited next film in the Matrix franchise began production in San Francisco in February of 2020, while the project was officially known as Project Ice Cream.
Ice Cream.
Clear it was actually Matrix 4 after public sightings of Keanu Reeves, his stunt double flying on a zip line, and the crew filming stunts in low-flying helicopters. When the production of the blockbuster film of this scale takes place in a populated city, the police department has to step in to ensure bystanders don't get in the way. John, it's Matrix 4.
And if this was
Ninja Dog: The Revenge Part 7, I don't think the police would be charging $420,000 dollars for their services. It's Matrix 4. Everything's connected to that. Problem is, John, Keanu Reeves, he's going to have to appear on set at some point, and that's the game away. It's not Project Ice Cream after that. It's Matrix 4.
It's like Blue Ocean or whatever.
Blue Harvest,
Blue Harvest, the Return of the Jedi.
Yeah,
Empire
I
Strikes
always remember them talking about that, John. The price of everything went up on Return of the Jedi when everyone found out it was Return of the Jedi. When it was Blue Harvest, no one was giving a shit.
Yeah.
You know, and they were just, film whatever you want, who gives a shit. Yeah. It's Matrix 4, you say? Oh, wait a minute.
$420,000.
This might cost you an arm and a leg, but what's your take on this, John? Because we're starting to talk about Matrix 4 again here. Yeah. There was a long break, obviously, with COVID, putting the sort of hex on things, John, but I'm looking forward to this film. I'm liking everything I hear about this film. I don't mind, and I know it was just rumoured, I don't mind if the focus is on Trinity as being the one. I don't really care because we got
Yeah, we got 3 movies.
I was going to say a great trilogy. It's not a great trilogy.
Too good.
It's
1.5.
It's an amazing first film, a decent sequel, and a poor third movie. Covering Neil's journey, so I don't really mind if they're taking this off in a different direction. No,
neither do I, Stephen. Look, I've got trust in Lana Wachowski. Everyone that's been on this cast has says it's an amazing script she's produced. It's a sort of, I think they said something about a love story. I may have been making that up, a romantic sort of thing. Maybe I'm talking shit, I don't know. I remember vaguely them speaking about the script. But the one common denominator was the fact that there is confidence in this script. They like what Wachowski has done with this movie. And Stephen, getting back to the actual location, I think you're right. There's a degree of, what would you call it? I don't know. Opportunism.
Yeah.
They see it's the Matrix 4, it's a big Hollywood production, and they think, yes, it's a cash grab, we can make some extra dollars here. But another part of it is the fact that it is San Francisco, it's a major city, and the nature of San Francisco, it's a very hilly city. It's quite compact. It's not quite like New York, where it's huge.
Like there Glasgow, I would say.
Yeah, it's going to cost a lot of money, Steve, to shut that city off for 2-3 days, maybe a week, to allow this production to happen. Depending on where it's actually been shot, I can understand the cost. It's very fucking expensive to stay in San Francisco, by all accounts.
Yeah.
One of the most expensive places in the whole of the United States. Just a bomb. And just the nature of the city, I think, tightly knit, have to shut some the roads down and stuff like that, or just shut down a huge area because of low-flying helicopters. That will cost a lot of money. We had Zack Snyder speaking about the Army of the Dead and the cost of hiring out, not just shooting, but actually hiring out and digitally imaging the strip in Las Vegas, what that costs so they can recreate it and make it fall apart and be dystopian for that actual zombie apocalypse. It cost a bomb for that as well, Stephen. So I think it's just the nature of shutting down these major US cities. It costs a lot of money, but there is opportunism in there as well. What they could have
done was what Cloud Atlas did, the Halle Berry Tom Hanks movie, was they could have used Glasgow to duplicate San Francisco for those steep hills.
We've got a lot of steep hills here, Stephen. Yeah. Scary steep hills.
That's what they did.
Yeah,
I always remember that because I was working around the corner at the time.
Yeah, it was that when you were.
Saw some of the cars they were using, the old, what were they called? The Cadillacs and stuff like that. Yeah. It looked amazing.
Stephen, was that when you stayed in that? Was that when you worked in that one across from the big store? The big sort of the one in the corner with the huge hill.
Yeah,
that hill was a fucking joke, so steep.
Yeah,
they could have stayed. They could have. Well, that's what they usually do. They usually come to places like Glasgow because it's a lot cheaper. You can shut down parts of Glasgow because who cares about Glasgow? It's a lot cheaper than San Francisco, so that's usually what they do. But clearly, they just had to get the shots. I think it's probably because it's not street level alone. It's not just low-line shots where they can CGI the city above, like they did with World War Z.
Yeah, that's right.
I think it's probably because, as he says, it's low-flying helicopters. They're trying to capture the actual city, and they need to actually be in San Francisco.
Not in Glasgow, that someone will steal them anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So, Steve, look, man, it's the nature of the beast. I think these productions, they've probably set it aside. They've probably known it's going to cost a bomb. I'm just excited for this movie. As I said before, Stephen, I'm excited to see what they're doing with it, man, because they have to do something to redeem that trilogy. And what he says about Trinity, don't mind her being the one, because we've had 3 movies of Neo. This is an alternate sort of reality, I'm presuming, where Morpheus isn't there, sadly. And we're going to get to see her being the one and how it's going to play out. And hopefully it plays out fucking better than Revolutions, because that was god-awful, terrible. Sadly, we're not getting the great Hugo Weaving in there. It's going to be that other guy with the double barrel name.
It's Neil
Patrick Harris.
Yeah. He was a great actor, John. I think he will do very well as well. As agent,
Mrs.
whatever.
Trinity, Miss Trinity, not Mr. Anderson.
Yeah,
can't do. He's
Mrs. Anderson. Yeah,
Mrs. Anderson.
John, I'm looking forward to it as well. I just can't wait to see what they're going to bring.
Yeah,
it's one of those ones. It's almost like The Force Awakens. You know, where are they going to take this story? We had a beginning, a middle, end with the original trilogy. Where are they going to take this? So it'll be very interesting to see.
Is it a quasi sequel? Is it a prequel? Is it a frequel? Is it a I don't
know.
Stephen, look, man, they're getting him in the right time as well. Keanu, he's in a crest of a wave. He's still young enough that he can do all this action. The guy's just a fucking absolute God-given talent. So I cannot wait to see him back as Neo.
Yeah, can't
and
wait.
Kicking ass, as I like to say in the States. Can they do something revolutionary, like the revolutionary, not luminary, like I says there, with the bullet time? Can they do something different? Because that's what set the Matrix apart.
Yeah,
even now, it's not aged terribly like some of those movies. You can go back and watch it, and it's amazing. We watched it recently. We reviewed it.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
It's still one of my best films of the 1990s. But we're going to move on to our final
late 90s,
topic.
wasn't it?
It was 99.
99.
And this is coming in from
Not as good as 98, but a good year.
filmybeat.com. Now, the website's kind of jumping about a bit as if there's some ads happening here. So
yeah, Stephen, as you can see here, I'll bring up the actual web capture and have you on the screen. Actually, I'll bring it to you up so we can
I'm just going to, I'll read as much as I can, John, that's relevant to the story. But this is Talapi Vijay to Romance, Keerthy, Suresh and Vamshi Paidipally project, and this is the report. Talapi Vijay is reportedly all set to launch his first Tamil Telugu bilingual very soon. The project, which is directed by Vamshi Paidipally, is touted to be an action thriller. If the latest reports are to be true, Talapi Vijay might romance the national award-winning actress Keerthy Suresh once again in the untitled project. According to the Grapevine, the makers are keen to rope in Keerthy Suresh for the project thanks to her excellent chemistry with Vijay and popularity amongst both the Tamil and Telugu audiences. Even though the talented actress has not yet signed on the dotted line, she is to be interested in the project. In that case, the upcoming Vamshi Paidipally project will mark Talapi Vijay's third collaboration with Keerthy Suresh after the 2017 release hit Bhairava and the 2018 release blockbuster Sarkar. However, the reports are not officially confirmed yet. If things follow as planned, the Talapi Vijay Vamshi Paidipally project will get an official launch very soon. We hope it does, John, because we just love hearing about this guy. We're very excited about his upcoming projects, which I don't know any other actor out there that names or numbers their films the way that Telepathy Vijay does. We're getting 65, 66 and 67 all coming very, very soon.
And 65's getting shot just now, isn't it, in Georgia and I think in India just now, Chennai, if that's how you say it. That's his hometown, Telepathy.
Yeah.
So yes, Stephen, you're right, this guy is just an absolute beast of a movie star and just as a personality in India, that you actually number his next movies. It's not just a movie with a working title, it's actually Telepathy, 65, 66, 67. We spoke about this recently, Stephen, Vamshi, and I was concerned that I'd searched up a movie and put it in the actual topic. It turns out it actually is a director or a film maker of some sort, and he is working with him, and it seems to be firming up. It's a Telugu, Tamil Nadu, pan-South Indian movie. And look, man, there's been talk again. I think there was another article about him working with a Telugu actor. I forget the actor's name. I think this is all coming together now, Stephen. It looks as though it's going to happen. Keerthy Suresh, I think he says the name is. It's in front of me. I should see it. She worked with him in Sarkar. I tried to work out who it was. Was it the actual... Because my memory's not great. Was it the puppet master in the background, villain? Or was it actually the love interest that kind of fell away in the movie? I don't know. I think you suggested it was a love interest.
I think so, John.
She was okay in it, wasn't she? She was a bit of a nag. Bit of a killjoy in the actual dance number on the beach. She was getting him to stop. Come on, don't let him stop. Just let him dance for the whole movie. I want to watch this guy dance for 2 hours straight. But look, man, it's exciting to see it's firming up. I'm looking forward to this 65 one where he's this con artist on the run. He's going to America all over the place. I'm looking forward to 66 potentially with Lokesh. And then 67, it's firming up, man, this massive pan-South Indian hit. And you bring in Keerthy Suresh, she's worked with her 3 times. Proven ability,
John,
she's a love interest.
I'm very excited to find out what the actual official title of these films are going to be called. Starting with obviously 65, what the title is going to be called, and when that will get announced, because I can't wait to talk about
it'll come soon, Stephen. They're working on it just now. Also, it's been held up because of COVID and just shooting and stuff. I think the production stopped. I think it was rain in Georgia, then COVID in Chennai. But once they start, I mean, they'll have enough in the can, I presume, to do a teaser. And they'll just put together some motion poster anyway, which I love. The fact that Indian movies get motion posters. They don't even have to shoot anything. No. It can just be Prabhas hanging out a train.
That's right,
blowing in the wind, and it is incredible. It's a feast. So we'll get something, I'm sure. There'll be some announcement, and then we'll be on it. Like piranhas to blood in the water. Because we do love Telepathy. I think he's a great guy. And as I said before, if I could somehow get a fucking interview with the guy at some point, me and you together, Stephen, it'd be amazing just to speak to this guy, pick his brain, an illustrious career, why he has remained so humble, so human in the face of unbelievable success. It'd be amazing to speak to that guy. Babu, get it done, mate. You says you'd get us an interview. Get it done, but look,
make it happen.
Make it so.
Yeah, make it so. Yeah.
Number 1, Rijkaard. We always get back to generations. I don't know how it happens, but it does. But Steve, that's going to round the show up. What do you think about the topics we touched on? What's your opinion on Emily Blunt suggesting that Krasinski, the husband may be doing a trilogy of A Quiet Place movies. Is that something you'd want to see? Are you excited for it? Are you excited for the second one? What's your thoughts on it? What do you make about Doctor Strange's Scott Derrickson and the explanation for him parting ways? Was it for the black phone, or was it a load of shite? How possible is it? You can comment below if you've got anything to say about that. What do you make about the Portal movie? JJ potentially doing it. Matrix 4 getting extorted for $420,000 I should say, to film in San Francisco. And finally, Telepathy67, working with a familiar face once again. If you've got anything to say at all, you can comment below if you feel compelled to share your thoughts in the comments section. You can also like the video if you've enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel on YouTube, hit the follow button over on Twitch if you want to see more content like this in the future, and you will get it, guys. But look, until then, I'm done speaking. I'll have a breath. Bye-bye. That was a better ending, wasn't it? That's more fucking like it. Keep that up, John, please.